Shamanettes, and welcome to The Beauty Shaman. So about a week ago, I went jogging and I tripped and I fell face forward on my right hand and I broke my right wrist. Yes, I did. And I am right-handed. So how do you do makeup when you hurt your dominant hand, right? So I'm in a cast up to my elbow, past my elbow for the next probably 2.5, 3 weeks. So I'll be doing a lot of skincare videos and interviews until I can get this thing off. Having said that, it's given me a much greater empathy for those of you who have emailed me and asked me the questions about how to do makeup when you have poor eyesight, and also problems with your muscles in your hands, not being able to manage the fine lines that I often talk about and do in my videos, and many of us do. So I thought I'd do this video and specifically target that issue because me trying to do my eyeliner has been hilarious, along with doing other things like going to the bathroom or cooking. I mean, chopping tomatoes. It's like, what? So to deal with those kind of challenges in makeup, that's what we're talking about today. I've got lots of great tips for you, and I'm excited to do this video with my newfound empathy for those of you who have issues with these types of things. Okay, before we get started, visit my website at thebeautyshamanstore.com. Sign up for my newsletter for insider discounts and deals. Also hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and the bell to be alerted every time I upload a video. Let's get going. Okay, so for starters, those of you who watch know that I don't use any injectables or plastic surgery. What I explain that I use actually is what I use and what I do. I'm 56 years old, so just so that everyone is understandable, I don't pull any punches. I'm very upfront and honest with what I know and do. I'm an esthetician and a professional makeup artist, so it's coming from a very good place. Also, I have very dark circles, canyons in my eyes, because I just haven't been sleeping since I hurt my arm, which I'm sure is understandable. Trying to roll over, it's been sort of humorous. I'm keeping my mirth, let's put it that way. Okay, so to get started, obviously doing creams, and I do a ton of things to my skin, and now I can only use one hand. So one of the main things that I recommend that everybody uses is a vitamin C serum. There's all different price points, and I've done lots of videos on that. I'll put one in the corner. However, this is my favorite. It's Truth Treatment's Vitamin C. This has 80% vitamin C, one of the top, highest that you can possibly purchase. But how do you put this on, right? It's got a screw top. So, I can actually get the screw top off now, but the first 3 days I couldn't, right? And I'm just going to take the dropper because it's got a dropper, right? Although it's almost out. Okay, and I'm just going to drop this on my skin. Now, I don't know if you've seen any of, videos on girls doing this, and I just think it's hilarious. They do this with their foundation. Honestly, if I did this with my foundation, swear to God, it'd be all down my front. Talk about challenges. I can't do that. But using a dropper directly onto your skin like this with this serum, it's great. Okay, we are actually going to do foundation last. And one of the reasons for that is that with shaky hands or poor eyesight or non-dominant hand, all of those wrapped up in one, I won't mention all of them again. I will just say for those of you who struggle with this, that'll encompass all of that, is that if you'll have quite a bit of what we call fall around your eyes. So that can be your eyeshadow. It can be maybe I have been messing up with mascara. Like I do my mascara and I've got it like up my eyebrow because, right, it's like my hand doesn't handle it as well. So just leave your foundation for last because then it's very easy to clean up, which I've learned. Love the Q-tip, always loved Q-tips, but now they're even more my friend because I need them so desperately with all of the mistakes I make as I try to do my makeup. So keep a pile of Q-tips easily accessible. Do your concealer and your foundation very last for that very reason, which I think is a super practical idea I didn't think of right away, needless to say. All right, but I am going to do a little bit of foundation on my eyelids because I have such weird color discolorations on my eyelid, and I like to take those out a little bit. It's a little bit of it's just discoloration. All right, so I'm going to take my foundation. Now I've got one hand, but I can actually push on this, and I'm just going to get a little bit on my hand, and then I scoop it onto my fingers, and I dab my fingers, and I'm just going to put that over my eyelid. Now, many of you, if you do this, you have oily lids, and it doesn't work on you, right? It just creases up. So then you can use an eye base. Eye bases are great. I've often used those in videos. They do much the same thing. This is Vapor Foundation. If you haven't heard of Vapor Foundation, it's my new love. Just love this foundation. It's a clean, non-toxic foundation. I'm a huge fan. Holds up beautifully. I used it on quite a few talent in the green room and really filmed beautifully, held up. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I will use it on the rest of my face here shortly. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of sheen there. So I'm going to take a little powder. So this is my powder, a little bit of MAC blot powder, or just a translucent powder that you have. And I'm just going to put it using this brush very rough over the top. And that's just to set it so that it doesn't, my eyeshadow doesn't crease up. Okay, before I get to eyeshadow, we are going to cover a little bit of brows. So putting on eyebrows with your non-dominant hand, shaky hands, is extremely difficult. I've learned, but I'm going to use this. It's by Glossier. Sorry, I can't even hold my hand up so you can see that. So this is just like a pen. You can use something like this or a pencil. One idea I have is to get your eyebrows shaped so that you have a line to follow, because if you're trying to create your own line with a shaky hand, it's incredibly, I think it's impossible, right? And then you get your eyebrows everywhere. For some of you, a pencil is going to be better because most eyebrow pencils are waterproof, and that will hold up a lot better throughout the day. But you have to be sure if you make a mistake to wipe it off instantly, because it will dry and then you're stuck with it. All right, so I'm going to use this a little bit, and I'm just going to lightly fill in a couple things here. Now, because this is the same color as my brows, you know, I'm not that worried about it being perfect, but I just like to tighten it up, the lines a little bit. I definitely do not try to fill them in completely. If you do have to do your entire eyebrow, draw your entire eyebrow in, I would say there are tattoos you can get. They can be really handy for those of you who want to do that. But see, that was very simple. I didn't really do too much, but it did kind of sharpen it up a little bit. Okay, not perfect, but I don't care. All right, now we're going to do a little eyeshadow. So I just grabbed a monochromatic eyeshadow palette. This is actually Jane Iredale, and it's called Cognac. So this is really nice. I think this is a really good palette because it has, I keep wanting to hold up my right hand, but it doesn't work. It's really funny. Anyway, but I love these because it's monochromatic. They're all the same color. In other words, if I do a crease color, use one as a liner color, use one as a lid color, and if it's not perfect, it's not going to matter, right? Because if you're using, you know, colors that are maybe complementary on the color wheel, in other words, you've got purple at one side, you've got red at the other, right? So they complement each other, but they're both very strong colors. It's going to be extremely difficult to blend. So you want to use ones that are much more the same or in the same family at the very, very least. That way, mistakes don't show up. All right, now I'm going to start with this brush. I love this brush. It's a MAC brush. I actually don't know the number as I sit here, but I will put it down in the credits down below. So it's just a really nice, easy brush. It's easy to clean. I believe it's goat hair, but don't quote me on that. I will figure that one out so I can talk correctly about this. It's a MAC brush. Many lines make these. I like it because it blends easily, but it's kind of a wide bristle, so it's not too narrow, and I can, if I make a mistake, not a big deal. All right, so I'm going to start with these, keep doing this. Anyway, and I'm just going to work my way across. So I'm going to start with the lightest, and I'm going to go all the way across, okay? So this whole palette is called Cognac, so that you can see that I'm going to go lightest to darkest. And that really is the best thing to do, is go lightest to darkest, not darkest, you know, the other direction, because you're really going to have a hard time. All right, so I'm going to dip this into the lightest, okay? And tap it a little to get rid of the excess. I just tapped it on the paper towel in front of me. Okay, and I'm just, because I can't like balance my hand very well, right? Because of, you know, my struggle with my left hand. So I'm just gonna lightly put it all over. See, I'm just following the natural shape of my eye. It's nice, huh? All right, now we're going to do the middle one, which is more of a crease color. So many of you have a hard time with your eyesight finding your crease, or maybe you have a hooded lid. So the crease is not obvious, and that can be really difficult with bad eyesight or with a shaky hand. So one great trick is to take your eyelash curler or something that has kind of that curved shape to it, put it up to your eye, and there you have it. There's the crease. So you don't have to try to find the crease. Here is where it is. Now I'm in the challenging position that I actually can't hold this because I don't have use of my right hand. So I can't use this, right? Because I've only got one hand. But for those of you who have two working hands, so I'm going to guess where mine is. And I'm just going to hold, like holding it is humorous, right? It's like, okay, I'm just going to follow my natural crease. Like a kind of like a windshield wiper. Okay, so for those of you who want to do a little bit of eyeliner, one of my thoughts is to use a brush that's got a little bit of poof to it, right? It's not super sharp. So I'll put the number of this down below. This brush is so loved, it has no numbers on it. But anyway, get it a little bit of a poofiness. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not sharp like this one. So this is a 226 by MAC, very sharp. If you make a mistake, it's gonna show. On this one, not so much, right? Also a pencil brush does the same thing. My pencil brush, I couldn't find it, so we're gonna use this one. Okay, I'm dipping it in the darker shade, and I'm just gonna put it next to my lashes. See, it's very nondescript. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to do a line. Just kind of putting it on there, right? But see, you get that, you get a little bit more shape. And I'm gonna go a tiny bit underneath. And one of the tricks is to keep it mostly on the outer edge. I wouldn't worry too much about going all the way in because it'll bring your eyes together if you get too much darkness in here. So you really want to keep it on the outer edge, but that's kind of pretty, right? Okay, so lastly, I'm going to talk about doing an eyeliner in your waterline. So if you can manage this, and not all of you can manage this, and I know that, like getting a pencil in your eyeball and not stabbing your eyeball when you have shaky hands or bad eyesight is really hard. If you can manage it though, it's one of the ways to really bring out your eyes without doing an external. So you've got the external line, which would go on top of your lash line, right? And then you've got one that's underneath, right? So it's kind of in your eye. I'm going to try to do it. I actually haven't tried to do this with this hand, but I thought I'd give it a go. But basically you look in the mirror and you just go under your lashes. And it just opens up your eye a little bit more. It's just a fun trick. So if you can do it, do it. Okay, lastly, I'm gonna do some mascara. So I'm gonna use, this is Jane Iredale, it's called Beyond Lash. This is very loved, sorry. But this does not contain formaldehyde, which, believe it or not, almost every mascara on the market contains formaldehyde. And clean beauty mascaras are actually, I have never liked any of them. This is the only one I've ever liked. It holds up beautifully. It's a really nice mascara, plus it's non-toxic, which is pretty epic. So I'm going to use this one. You know, and putting on mascara with any of the issues I've described is hugely challenging, as I have learned. So I'm going to try to do this without making any goobers, but I can't be trusted, so. Coating your lashes first like that is actually a really good way to do it, because then you get them coated, and then all you have to do is kind of separate them a little bit. Little side trick with mascara is after it dries, it's really easy to remove. It's actually easier to remove when it dries than when it's wet, because when it's wet it smears, and when it dries it just flakes off. So you might just wait if you get it on your skin like I did. Came right off. Okay, so we are on to foundation. So I've managed my eyes, and as you can see, I've got some fall underneath my eye. So this will be great. I'll be able to cover it up with a little bit of foundation. So putting a little foundation on my finger on my right hand. And I'm gonna just really put this around my eyes. I'm not gonna try to do it all over my face. I think many of us don't need that. I think it's just like TMI, or like too much information, too much. And I'd always like a little bit more of a minimal look on older skin. So just put it around your eye, over your nose, kind of like more in your T-zone, right? And for many of us too, you know, we've got more of a line here. So why, in other words, you know, like maybe your neck is darker than your face, like how I am, or maybe the skin on your jawline is more red. Sometimes that can happen. So if that's the case, just match the skin around your eyes. and just leave it alone. Okay, so big difference, right? It just kind of evens my skin out. This is a light to medium coverage foundation, which I recommend if you're going to get a foundation to get that. Don't go with full coverage. Only in a few specific situations would I say use a full coverage. It just can tend to look a little bit too much on mature skin. However, some of you love it, and if you love it, you love it, so do it. All right, so a little bit of concealer. This is my Cogen Dough Concealer. This is not a non-toxic product. Not everything I use is clean beauty. Some of it, I'm always in the market for a really good clean beauty concealer. If you have one you like, please write down below. I'm always interested in that. All right, so I'm just gonna lightly tap this in a couple places and on my age spot. And this is a really good way to get rid of your age spots or any discoloration that you have. And we're just gonna tap. So this can be hard with your, non-dominant or a shaky hand. So you can also press, right? And roll. If you really have like a dark area, just roll it. So you're just keeping it in here. Now I've got some pretty serious dark circles because I've not been sleeping well. I'm going to tap that a little all the way around. And on my age spot, I'm going to roll it. Tap and roll. Helps to diminish it. Okay, so I've taken up my circles, I've touched up my lovely age spot, and now I'm going to go back and use my brush with the powder just to kind of put a little powder around my eyes. Many of us have dry skin, so you don't want to use a ton of powder. So I just kind of spot use it. In other words, only where you need it. And skin is in for fall. If you haven't seen my new fall video on trend, I'll put it in the corner. Or is it that corner? I don't remember. Anyway, to see some new fall trends. But one of them, which I really love, is that skin is in. So they want to see people want to see your skin. So don't use very much powder or only spot use it like I do. Okay, so blush. Let's do a little blush. I'm going to do a cream blush. You can also do a powder, obviously that's up to you. I'm going to do a cream just because it's what was closest to me. And I think you can honestly use either one. I would say keep your brushes really clean because there's nothing worse than using a dirty brush and now you've got a mess to clean up on your face as well as on the brush. So just keep your brushes clean. I use hair shampoo to clean mine. Let them dry flat, very simple. All right, so this is called So Natural by MAC. So it's a lovely cream blush, and I'm just gonna put it right on my cheekbones. I'm actually gonna forego any bronzer. I'm just keeping it really, really simple. Okay, lastly, we're gonna do lips. Now, I'm just gonna do a sheer lip color. And one of the reasons is that a matte lipstick is much harder to clean up if you make a mistake because it needs to be really exact, right? Creams can sometimes do that, but going more sheer on your lipstick and doing lip gloss can be really easy because you just put it on and if it goofs up on your face, you grab your Q-tip and you take it off, right? So I'm gonna use a sheer color. So this is by Vapor. And I forget the name of it. I'll put it down below, but it's a great, just a sheer pinky color, like an everyday color. And I'm gonna do my lip liner last. All right, this is just a pinky lip liner from, I think this is Mary Kay. One of my friends gave it to me. It's just a nice pink. So the trick to this is to balance your hand because you can't do it freehand, right? It's too difficult with any of the issues that we have. So I'm gonna just balance it on my chin. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or any thoughts or maybe something I missed, please write it down below. I always love hearing from you. I always respond. So thank you so much. And I do hope that those of you who have struggled with eyesight or shaky hands or any of these things have benefited from this video. All right, thanks for watching.